Wait, we're ready?
Oh, yeah, it's going.
Alright, hold on. I need a refill right now. I'm stopping with... making a stop in the pit crew. I hate that this is recording right now. Alright.
I've got a lot to cut off there.
Oh, you fucker. You son of a bitch. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey!
It's
Hump Day!
It's Wednesday.
Yes.
Welcome back, episode 26 of the Below Average Joe's UFC podcast. And this one's a little extra special, Dom. A little dash.
Little
dash
razzle-dazzle.
Special. And today, as you can tell, if you're watching this on YouTube anyways, you can tell, or by the title.
Right.
You can tell that today we're going to be going over the fight for each division that we want to see most.
Well, what's really poking at us?
Yeah.
Saying, hey, pick me, pick me.
This doesn't mean it has to be a title fight.
Right.
It doesn't even mean it has to be ranked fighters.
Right.
There's no strings on me.
There's really no criteria here.
Yeah, it's literally whatever strikes us as being the fight that would get us the most excited to see.
At the state of the divisions right now,
Yeah.
What's really getting us out of bed?
Of course. And, I mean, I think with that being said, I think we might just be ready to kind of hop in here.
Dive in.
Now, we'll start with, you want to start with the women?
Lowest to
Start
highest.
lowest to highest women, and then we'll do men, lowest to highest. Okay.
Yep.
So, we start with women's strawweight,
Oh, yeah.
the 115-pound division.
Oh, yeah.
Dom, what is your fight for this division?
Remember me! The champion, Wei Li Zhang, has to fight number 3 ranked, undefeated, female Habib, Tatiana Suarez. It has to happen.
The champ is here.
I need this to happen.
You have been
In
calling.
all-
You've been calling for a Tatiana
Yes.
title fight for a while.
I need this.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it helps when there's no criteria because obviously Wei Li's probably going to fight Rose. Tatiana don't have a fight booked.
Right.
This is what I want to see. Okay? Whether it be after Rose fight or down the road, I don't even care. This fight has to happen.
Yeah.
Striker, grappler.
Mm-hmm. The classic matchup right there.
21 fight win streak, undefeated 9 or 10-0.
Fireworks.
Yeah. Think about it. Can Tatiana get Wei Li to the ground? Can Wei Li stop Tatiana's wrestling? Can Wei Li knock Tatiana out? Can Tatiana submit Wei Li?
So many questions.
And
There's only one way to answer it.
Fight.
Go.
Fight.
Have a go.
Mortal Kombat. Fight! That's what I need. That's my women's strawweight fight, and that's just a banger to start the episode in my opinion.
Yeah, you've really been calling for that Suarez title fight for a while.
I really foresee that it's going to happen. It's not if, it's when.
So what's funny is, for mine, I also have Tatiana Suarez. But I don't quite have her fighting for a belt. I think again, when we're going over our criteria, which is simply which one excites us the most,
Right.
I feel like I would have a slight pause if she was announced for a title fight right now. Not that fight wouldn't be great on paper.
Yeah.
But there's one fight that sticks out to me a little bit more for her.
Tatiana.
And that is number 1 ranked Rose Namajunas.
Oh, man.
Now, you're kind of going... It's kind of the same thing there. It's kind of more of a striker versus more of a grappler.
Rose, though.
No, Rose can do it all.
I go as far as saying, from what we've seen anyways, from Rose and Wei Li, Rose has the better ground game. Therefore, theoretically, should be able to fend herself a little better on the ground with Tatiana.
Tatiana's going to have a clear size advantage here.
Yeah.
But Rose has never been much of a... Despite, like, the Joanna knockout, she's never really been, like, a power striker. She's punches and bunches.
Yeah, and so technical.
Very technical.
Like, perfectly.
And I just think that
footwork.
but I do think that Tatiana's size can present a problem. Look, Jessica Andrade was not necessarily large. She wasn't taller than Rose, but
Strong,
she was
short and
strong.
stocky.
Yeah, like thicker than
Yeah.
Rose. And Rose did not seem to have a problem with handling her, but then it just took that one slam
Right.
in that first fight, anyways.
And we
it was
saw
all
how great
over.
the second fight was.
So I'd be curious to see how she could handle the female Habib,
Yeah.
as you keep referring to her as.
I mean,
think
that's
this-
a great number one contender type
well,
fight, too.
and you also have to think that despite Wei Li, Wei Li is making a name for herself right now, especially with that market that she's the first Chinese UFC champion.
I've never been so excited to see a woman in the UFC fight again. Like, I'm
Yeah.
ready for Wei Li to
Yeah.
fight again.
But right now, the person who is the biggest name in that division is Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
Right now. So for Tatiana to potentially get a big win over her,
Kind of solidify
Yeah,
herself.
because
she's not been as active.
yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
For her, it's just, I feel like she would be bigger right now,
Yeah.
if not for inactivity. It's kind of
Yeah.
like when you keep making these Habib comparisons. Remember, Habib went about 2 years
Yeah.
without fighting. People don't remember that. Like, he didn't become champion until 2017, I
They're
believe.
similar in many ways.
But he could have been champion well before that.
And you could say Tatiana could be champ right now.
Yeah,
you
she
just
could-
don't know.
So I think that that's the fight that I would like to see most. I was very close to doing Wei Li and Rose because I think that fight has the makings of a classic, just like her Wei Li versus Joanna was.
Thankfully, it's looking like that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, but I went with this one just because I felt like I would be a little more excited for Tatiana
Yeah.
to get that opportunity and for Rose to, like, in a way, I don't want to say shock the world again because she would probably be favored in the matchup, but in a way I think people would be overlooking her, like the analyst
Yeah.
might overlook her in that matchup.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my flyweight, or you always got me fucked up
Straw.
after that one
Listen.
else. So that's my strawweight fight. We move on to women's flyweight, a very interesting division. It's
Yeah.
arguably the second hottest division right now.
For women's.
If you're talking about like I don't know, like where they're trending, the division is. Like I would say it's above bantamweight at this point.
Yeah. I think it's.
Bantamweight had a good night on
It
Saturday,
did,
but
yeah.
in a way, it also kind of shot itself in the foot because
The same people.
there was no clear contender
Right.
for Amanda right now.
Yeah.
But for flyweight, even though like it's a lot of relatively unknowns when you get to the back of the pack, that front group, then you got like Andrade moving up,
Yeah.
things like that.
That's a really exciting one.
Yeah,
She's
so-
fighting Chukagian, right?
Yeah.
So, God, I forgot about
So
that.
this is a fight that I've talked about
Mhm.
before, and I'm gonna do it again.
Oh.
It's the champ fight.
Okay.
I didn't use Wei Li for strawweight because I know, like, I get it. She probably needs like one more defense to really solidify like that like earning it, I
Yeah.
guess. But when you have her first title defense be potentially one of, or arguably a top 5 fight of all time,
Yeah.
I'm ready to see her fight. I mean, Joanna's one of the best to ever do it.
Imagine a Whaley Valentina. Like, really
So that's what I'm
think
saying
about
here.
it.
I guess I
Yeah.
didn't give a chance to say
Oh,
Valentina.
yeah.
So this is
Sorry.
for this Valentina being the dominant flyweight champion. Right now, there's not really anybody sticking out to me that's like that at least excites me as much as this fight does.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being honest, like I get it. I get fatigued with the whole champ stuff too. But Wei Li's the type who could conceivably, if she were to win, do what Amanda's been doing and going back and forth.
Yeah.
Conceivably, she could. I mean, we don't.
I feel like she would have the build to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because she's strong enough and built enough to fight at flyweight, I'd have to
Yeah.
imagine.
And let's say that that's not her plan. Well, then she's just moving up to flyweight, which I don't look at as being a problem. It boosts that division.
Yeah.
And then it opens up strawweight for another one for your girl Tatiana and
Yeah.
people like that. So
Oh, I'd love to see
in this
that fight.
potential matchup, you got Valentina, who I would say, based off what we've seen, is the more technical striker. But with some power, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Jessica I knockout. Especially, I guess I should say power with the leg kicks, I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
say. Going up against Wei Li, who from what we've seen has a power advantage. And
Yeah.
she throws heat in them hands.
Punches and bunches.
And
too.
not that she lacks technique. You know, this isn't like an Ngannou where I would go out of my way to say
Yeah.
that they lack technique. I think she has it. It's just, you know, which one has it more, right?
Yeah.
So Whaley, I think, has the power advantage. Valentina has the technique advantage. This, to me, comes off like a fight that's going to be a stand-up war, much like Whaley versus Joanna. Can Whaley hold up for another war like that? Is she going to become like Robbie Lawler?
Oh,
2 wars and then her chin just goes away. And
I hope not.
You know, it's just
That fight.
That fight, to me, like, Valentina needs a challenge.
That would be
And I'm not saying Jennifer Maia, who she's as of now scheduled to
Yeah.
fight in November. I'm not saying that Maia doesn't present a challenge. I just, for me right now, I don't see her beating Valentina.
Right.
And there's really nobody else in that division. Even someone who I love, like Jessica Andrade, I don't really see Andrade beating her either. So this is the fight to me where that would answer the most questions about Valentina, if there are any,
Mm-hmm.
if she were to come out on top. And for Wei Li, it could solidify her as one of the biggest stars. She could be one of the biggest stars in the company.
She could be a superstar, yeah.
So that's the fight.
She could
for
be
me.
the biggest women's star since Ronda Rousey.
I know they probably wouldn't do it, but to me, you could use this as a headliner.
Oh, I would love that.
I think that would be so cool. But I know they probably wouldn't, just because, at least if you're talking about right now,
Yeah.
those 2 women, as great as they are, they're not necessarily gonna at this point, they may not sell big enough, even though it's a champ and everything. May not sell big enough to headline, but I would be totally down to see this headline a card.
If there is that next women's super fight, we had really, I look at Joanna Valentina as the 1st. Then we had Cyborg and Nunes. This would be the next one. In terms of a women's super fight, that has it written all over it. I'd love to see that fight down the road. I think it's very possible we see that fight down the road.
Yeah, I guess it makes more sense if Whaley is able to beat Rose and Valentina beat Maia. I say you book it. Come
so?
spring, late spring, March, April, I say that fight should be headlining a card or co-maining a card.
Hopefully we get Whaley Rose
Oh, I guess that's the assumption
soon.
right now.
They haven't really said, but
Well,
yeah.
Dana, I do remember Dana saying like a week ago or so that the plan is still for her versus Rose. So
Maybe in December?
I mean, Rose did technically just fight 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Or 2 months ago, 251.
Yeah.
So, she can take a little bit of time.
That was a war, too, with Andrade.
And, I mean, really, Wei Li is probably still, in some ways, recovering. Because it's
Yeah.
really only been, that was
Let's
248. So that was,
7 months ago?
yeah.
Or that was March 7th. So, yeah, 7 months.
Yeah.
As of the day this is
Yeah.
out, actually.
So, understandably, she might need a couple more months.
Yeah.
But that's the fight for me. I'm going to keep, I brought it up multiple times before.
Yeah.
It makes
I have a
sense.
fight like that on my list, so
Okay.
don't worry.
So, I'll let you go into your flyweight.
My
title
women's flyweight is number 1, Caitlin Chukagian, and number 2 ranked Cynthia Calvillo.
That's definitely out of left field.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm curious to see how
I
you-
really like this as a stylistic matchup.
Right.
So for those that don't know, Cynthia Calvillo used to be a strawweight fighter. Just bumped up to flyweight recently and got her first win. You're gonna have to help me on who that was against. I'm gonna have to-
Calvillo?
Yeah. What was her first
beat
flyweight win?
Jessica I, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. It was Jessica I. It was the main event actually
Yeah.
of a fight night. So she's right in there already at number 2. Chukagian, on the other hand, fought Valentina for the title, didn't come up with the win in that one, then immediately bounces back and beats Valentina's sister, which I thought was hilarious that they did that, by the way. But this is a really good stylistic matchup, a fight for Cynthia to prove that she belongs in the flyweight division, and obviously beating a number 1 ranked Chukagian. You're right there next in line for a title, especially in a division like this.
Yeah.
And for Caitlin, she can fend off this, rising prospect that's had a lot of hype behind her ever since she came into the UFC, and then prove that she's ready to rematch Valentina, of course, after the Jennifer Maia fight. And both of these women are great wrestlers, and I think it's an interesting matchup that could potentially lead to them staying on the feet. Because sometimes when we have the wrestler versus wrestler, It doesn't always work out that way, i.e., Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
And I think that's honestly just a fight that makes sense and would be important for the division anyways. I really like that fight. It really stood out to me when looking at those rankings in that division.
Nice. I like it. I like that it's not an obvious one.
I got a few of those.
Yeah, I would say my next one's actually much in that, closer to that echelon of like, not one that's going to stick out to you, because I'm not using Amanda Nunes for bantamweight.
I'm not either.
I honestly don't feel like anyone in that division has earned it yet.
Yeah, we touched on that on Monday on the recap episode. There's still a lot that has to play out.
So right now, if you guys were listening to much of our talk on Monday about where the bantamweight division's at now and kind of where it's moving forward, there's a lot of rematches kind of going on. Not just rematches, but it was very simple for us to kind of book those 4 women and those on the main card for the
just
future.
made sense.
Just to book winner versus winner, loser versus loser. I can't, even though like I want to see JDR and Holly Holm too, I cannot in good faith put that on here because the first one is a fight I despise so much.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do Aldana and Pena either. I'm actually going to go with number 3, Aspen Ladd, versus number 7, Ketlin Vieira.
That's mine.
Is it really?
Yep, that was mine.
Okay. So
I like
cool.
when we, you know.
And I actually believe you had mentioned that fight to me before, so I can't say that I'm surprised that we picked it, because that is look, they're both these women are on one fight. They've won their last fight.
Yeah.
Fight before that, getting brutally KO'd.
Yep.
Aspen Ladd's being a little more controversial, but in 16 seconds to JDR.
Against GDR, yeah.
While everybody's seen the Ketlin Vieira knockout,
Yeah.
get knocked out by Aldana the way she did, just brutal. This is a prove-it fight.
Yep.
Because these are 2 women that have been big prospects in this division.
Yep.
They were looked at as ones that could potentially pick up the torch when Amanda Nunes is on her way out.
Yeah, I mean, Aspen was literally undefeated up until that fight with GDR.
Yeah.
So she had a ton of hype.
And I was big on Ketlin Vieira. I still am, but it definitely, when you, in women's fights, man, you don't see that many brutal knockouts.
Yeah.
So to see her get so brutally KO'd like that, it definitely stung the hype a little bit.
She was undefeated too. So
Yeah.
shit, yeah. That's good enough to seal the deal right
so
there.
to me, this potential matchup, when you have JDR, did I say JDR? GDR.
GDR.
GDR versus Holm, and then you have Aldana versus Pena. Like, to me,
We literally have
the
whole
winner,
top 7.
the winner of Aspen Ladd and Ketlin Vieira, I think, would earn a title shot over either of those 2 matchups.
I agree.
Because you got the 2 losers, Aldana and Pena, who would only be on a 1-fight win streak.
Yep.
GDR and Holly Holm had both lost to Amanda convincingly.
Yep.
I think that this is a potential, in a
number
weird
1
way,
contender.
it's number 3 versus number 7, but I feel like it's a title win.
I completely agree.
So did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
You basically took every detail. I mean, that I think it's a fight that makes the most sense. A fight that I think might actually happen.
Yeah.
9-1 for Aspen, 11-1 for Ketlin. Number 3 versus number 7. Both, like you covered it. Like, it's a fight that makes sense stylistically. It's a fun fight. Aspen's a technical striker that can wrestle. Ketlin has the power and can also wrestle. We saw that in her fight with Eubanks, how good of a wrestler she is.
Yeah.
That's a great fight.
I agree.
I think that's hilarious that we had that, but it just makes sense.
I kind of wondered if you would, because I remember in the back of my mind you were the one that said that to me probably on Sunday. But yeah, this next division though I think is probably the hardest one.
Can I just be honest?
I feel like I know what you're picking here.
I wrote Amanda Nunes versus literally anyone.
Okay, that's not what I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to do her versus Megan Anderson.
Oh, I
that's
mean,
the fight.
I'm definitely excited for that in December. I guess I didn't write it because it's already happening technically.
So this is funny. This is kind of funny because I feel like we're both kind of cheating with ours here. You said her versus literally anybody. I get it.
Yeah.
We're huge Amanda Nunes fans. We
Yeah.
stand
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yes. The GOAT.
So just to see her fight again,
Yes.
it's a treat, right?
Give me another Invicta champ.
You want to know how I cheated?
How?
This is like a complete cheat.
She retired.
No.
Gives up the belt.
I said Amanda Nunes versus Chris Cyborg 2.
Oh my god.
So
I was not expecting that.
Okay, so for those of you that aren't aware,
Yeah.
Chris Cyborg, we've talked about her multiple times. We even talked about her on Monday, I'm pretty sure, or Friday, one of the two.
Yeah.
She was looked at as probably the women's GOAT.
Yep.
It was like her and Rousey before Amanda kind of blew up the way she did. Or took over the world, I should say. Took over the women's fighting. They get matched up at UFC 232, headlined by John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson, their rematch. This was Amanda going up in weight for the first time to try to become champ and beat Cyborg, who hadn't lost in a decade.
Yeah.
And Amanda herself hadn't lost in like 8 years or 7 years or something like that. So what you end up getting, though, is Amanda starches her.
Yes,
in
quickly.
about 40 seconds. I think she knocked her out in less time than it took her to knock out Rousey. That's funny.
And both happened in under 50 seconds.
And what's funny is it was a 40-some second fight, and it was probably my favorite fight of the...
That Cyborg did land.
Look, so this is what I was
couple.
going to say. The takeaway from the fight was that Amanda starched Cyborg, which is true.
Yeah.
She did. She ran through her.
She put her to sleep.
But
Faceplant.
Cyborg did land a couple
she
shots.
did. Yep.
And those couple shots definitely at least somewhat wobbled or hurt Amanda. But Amanda didn't back down, kept bringing that pressure as champ shit only.
Yeah.
To me, also, the reason this is cheating is because Cyborg is now not even in the UFC.
Yeah.
She is the women's champion, probably for featherweight, I'm assuming,
Yep.
over at Bellator.
Yep.
So this fight literally will not happen.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, especially because the ties between the UFC brass and Chris Cyborg appear to be severed.
Yeah, that's true.
For many reasons. She's definitely she's big on the Bellator versus UFC thing right now. She was calling for the rematch after the fight. Dana wasn't too interested in it.
Yeah, and he was even saying like she didn't want it.
Yeah,
so it's just like
you don't know what's going on
Yeah.
there. I think there's some underhand negotiations going on there.
Listen, at the end of the day, when you look at the rankings for the women's featherweight division in the UFC, there aren't any.
There aren't any.
There's a picture of one person, and it's Amanda.
So, it was either her and Cyborg or her and Megan Anderson. And the Megan Anderson fight is interesting. Megan is going to be the larger girl in that fight.
Yeah.
And she does present something. To me, like, I just thought what would interest me more.
Yeah.
Since I am kind of cheating, I guess technically I'm saying Nunes versus Anderson, but I just wanted to give Cyborg her due.
Yeah.
Because that was a rematch that I would have been excited to see, because I think it could have went differently. I'm not saying Cyborg would have won, but we could have got a hell of a fight if it would have went any longer.
Yeah, that's true.
Because honestly, those 40 seconds.
I don't know if it would have went out of the first round. Regardless.
It was so fun to watch for those 40 seconds. So clean, landing perfectly.
It was
man.
wild.
But yeah, that's really the only fight I could justify picking here.
Yeah, I mean, my thought process here is, okay, Amanda's defending the featherweight belt in December against Megan Anderson. Assuming she wins that, her next title defense will probably be at bantamweight. She kind of tweeted that over the weekend. She's going to be busy next year. So then you figure, well, if she beats Megan, then there's nobody else at featherweight. But it gives the UFC time, and I'm thinking specifically to Invicta, who's kind of this sister organization of the UFC.
I call them, they're like the women's minor leagues.
Right, because it's all women's fighters there. That's where a lot of women's champions and fighters have came over.
A lot of prospects come up through Invicta.
And they have a featherweight division there, of course. That's where Megan Anderson came from. She was champ there. Felicia Spencer came from there. Like, you name it. These big-name women that are in the UFC now came from Invicta. So it gives the UFC time and Invicta time to establish a champion in Invicta. I don't know who it is off the top of my head, obviously. But say that women's featherweight continues to reign, then you bring her up to the UFC, and that can be Amanda's next fight.
You want to know a dark horse that I just thought of? This is also cheating.
What's that?
Amanda Nunes again,
Yeah.
obviously. Are you familiar with Kayla Harrison?
Yeah,
Now, I believe,
she
is a
fights at
lightweight.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, it would be tough for her to even cut down to 145.
She's very big.
But we have somewhat of a connection to Kayla
We
Harrison.
do. I would love to see her in the UFC one day.
Because she literally is from a town that's like 5 minutes.
to 10 minutes from where we grew up.
Yeah. Like literally, it's literally probably a 5-minute drive from the house I grew up at.
Yeah. She, for those of you who don't know who Kayla Harrison is, she's the women's lightweight. Yes, women's lightweight is a thing in the PFL.
Yeah.
She's the lightweight champion there. Was an Olympic gold medalist in judo wrestling.
Yep.
All the accolades in the world. Transitioned over to the MMA. She's undefeated. Dominates every fight she has. She trains at American Top Team.
She's big.
She's amazing. I don't know if she could do 145.
I don't know either. To be completely
like we're talking
transparent,
catch weight.
To be transparent, I have not actually watched any of her fights.
Oh.
I know.
She's incredible.
That's definitely like shitty of me, but I've never been able to catch them basically. So I'm not like, I've seen obviously like pictures of her. I've seen certain clips. So I've gotten the gist enough to where I'm like, all right, I want her in the UFC.
She's a real threat.
I think she is.
The problem is, there's not a lot of women's lightweight fighters.
Well, they
Hence
already
why she's in the PFL.
They already struggle enough to put featherweight women's fighters on the
Let
roster.
alone 10 more pounds at 155.
Yeah, so it would all depend on if she can make 145 because she's big.
I would see a fight with her and Cyborg happening before her and Nunes. Because I just feel like Scott Coker, Bellator president's more open to that type of stuff.
She could totally go to Bellator.
And the PFL's not doing fights right now, so there's a lot of stuff going on with them, and Kayla wants to fight, so I could see her and Cyborg before I see her and Nunes.
Actually, that fight would, if she went to Bellator...
And again, like a catch weight.
I could totally see her going to Bellator. Actually, I'd probably say... I bet there's a greater chance she goes to Bellator than the UFC.
And I could see Bellator creating a division for her.
Mm-hmm.
I really could. Bellator, like, don't sleep on Bellator. We may not follow it obviously as much, you know what I mean?
A little bit,
but like, they know their shit. I'll put it that way.
I have big plans for us in the future to try and start digging deeper into.
Yeah,
Bellator.
essentially, MMA.
Like right now,
I
don't know if this is like too much behind the curtain, but really long term, we don't want to. Even though the UFC is the premier organization, it's the NFL, it's the NBA, it's the MLB, the NHL, whatever. It is the premier MMA organization. But with MMA, it's not like it doesn't feel like in comparison to like. When you watch the XFL, for example, in football, it's fun to watch, but you definitely notice the dip in like quality.
Right.
But if you watch Bellator, I don't even know if Bellator is a good example. If you watch like
One
FC, you don't notice that because ultimately you have two fighters that are at the same caliber going up against each other.
Yeah.
And they still are very talented. So, for the most part, you don't really notice a dip. When you're talking about those, like, 4 or 5 organizations, I'm talking outside of the UFC,
right.
Bellator, Ryzen, PFL, ONE FC.
Yep.
Like, those are sticking out to me as, like, there's not, like, such a dip that it's, like, if you're watching, you go, wow, these people aren't as good as UFC.
And for like, women's Invicta, right? I mean... There's just so many. Well, like you said, we're really going on a tangent.
Yeah.
But long story short, like the NFL, for example, or I guess NBA is probably better. It's NBA. There's not an MBBA. You know what I'm saying? There's an NBA for the men. There's a WNBA for the women.
Right.
And then there's a G League, which is a minor league affiliate. So you can't even compare that to the mixed martial arts because it's like the UFC and then another huge organization in Bellator that does their own thing, and with no relation to the UFC.
Right.
It's so much different.
But I know this is definitely a tangent.
Yeah,
but I just wanted to put it out there that even though we're right now the Below Average Joe's UFC podcast, I think in the future you could see a potential slight tweak to that, and us
tweak to the name.
Be the MMA podcast because ultimately
it really just
it's. But right now, what do we know? We know UFC.
Yeah,
and we're not gonna pretend like we're.
Yeah, like we can't sit here and go on. We can't break down a Bellator fight coming up.
No.
Without doing extensive research.
Yeah, and the problem really is when you. This is really a tangent, but I'm cool with it. The biggest thing that has held us back from really checking out all these other cards. That cash. You have to be invested financially to really get into some of these.
Yeah, just
now I will say ONE FC, I believe, you can check out a lot of their cards on YouTube.
Yeah.
Bellator, however, you got to get DAZN.
Right.
Well, now they're actually they just
Paramount Networks you can watch some,
right. But now actually they're moving over to CBS. I believe they just made a deal. I believe.
That's huge. That's huge for them. I do remember seeing that.
But I believe it. A lot. I don't know for sure, but I think cards will the big cards will still be on DAZN. I don't know. DAZN's like $25 a month.
Yeah,
that's a big investment for what's ultimately we would be getting it for a B tier MMA organization.
Right.
At the end of the day,
there's just so many.
There's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But I'm just behind the curtain. Big plans coming for that kind of stuff. Anyways, that's the end of our women's fights with it there.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, what's a podcast without a little tangent here and there?
Of course. But
that was definitely our longest one.
Yeah, we are moving on to our men's divisions here now. We start with flyweight, 125 men's division, the most slept on division,
the most terrifying champion in the UFC.
I'm curious if you have him in your fight.
I do. Yeah. You know who I got him up against?
Who do you have him up against?
Our boy, Brandon Royval.
Really?
I do.
I'm shocked. I am shocked.
Now this is me saying, okay, Royval's fighting Brandon Moreno. Royval beats Moreno. Boom. Title shot. Yeah. 3 fights in.
Which I completely agree with. I am shocked that you actually went with Royval there.
I think that's awesome.
Because I'm the bit... I know you love...
Right.
You love Raw Dog Royval too. But I feel like I probably have a slight more...
Yes.
Like...
I agree.
To the point where, that's my dude in that division. Huh. Interesting. I'm very happy with that, by the way. But I'm go ahead.
I think Royval presents a challenge at the end of the day. I want to see Davison get challenged. Because recently, it don't look like that motherfucker gets challenged.
Well, this is all kind of going off of his last 2 fights, really. He was relatively unknown before he beat us.
I think we even mentioned that on another episode.
I mean, he's not even undefeated in the UFC. He's lost before.
Yeah.
Now, those Benavidez fights, the first one, a lot of controversy there, but he still knocks out Benavidez devastatingly.
Yes.
But that second fight, again, we went on tangents about it.
Yeah.
Just disgusting.
Horror movie. Happy Halloween.
So... He does have, just that fight alone, really those 2 fights has garnered him this reputation.
It's just to do it against a guy like Benavidez,
But there's no doubt in my mind that as scary as he is, he's
beatable,
vulnerable.
Right? Everybody's beatable. Yeah, that's the best thing.
He has not reached that level yet where I question if anybody in that top tier can beat him.
I think this would be big for Royval. Again, this is a guy that is 2 fights in his UFC career.
Yeah.
2-0, 2 top contenders, 2 submissions, 2 performances of the night. Love the guy, super humble, nice, well-spoken. In a big fight against Moreno, especially if he finishes Moreno, dude, here you go. Yeah. Here's Davison and the championship belt on a silver platter for you to go
in
fight.
That matchup,
in your 4th fight.
Davison's going to be the bigger guy.
Yes.
He's going to be he's going to have the advantage on the feet.
Oh, yeah.
Royval, however, is the taller, going to be the lankier, probably has a bigger reach. Don't know that for sure.
I like the challenge he presents on the ground.
That's that was where I was going to go with that. If he can get that fight to the ground, we could be in. Really, though, what's so interesting about that matchup is both these guys we're still learning so much about.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, can you sit here and confidently say that Royval has a better ground game than Davison? We don't know
I
that
guess
for sure.
not with 100% confidence.
And then, can you, even though Davison on the feet has looked terrifying, can you necessarily say that with 100% confidence that Davison will have a overall striking advantage over Royval?
I mean, I guess not 100%. No.
I'm not power advantage. I think you can make
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
I'm saying just the striking advantage in general. Technique, everything.
I think it's intriguing.
That's very intriguing.
I mean, imagine if Royval were to submit Moreno coming up next month. 3 fights, 3 submissions.
The world is yours.
I think that's an awesome fight. That'd be a fun one. Royval has a lot of hype behind him right now,
Yeah.
and Davison has a lot of hype behind him. This is what we need for that men's flyweight
Yeah.
division right now. Guys with hype behind them, and here's 2, just for example. The 2 biggest names in the division right now.
Yeah,
Bigger than Benavidez even. So
I agree.
Benavidez is the 3rd biggest name,
Yeah.
and he's coming off 2 losses. So, yeah, I'm glad I shocked you a little.
Yeah, that was champion Davison and number 6,
yeah.
Brandon Royval.
Oh yeah, updated rankings. He's number
Yeah.
6 now.
So for mine, I also have Brandon Royval.
I didn't doubt that you wouldn't.
The number 6 guy. I am a big fan of Raw Dog Royval, but I don't have him against Davison here.
I think I have a guess.
I want to see him versus Joseph Benavidez.
Oh, that was not my guess.
So
Interesting.
Benavidez's career is at a bit of a crossroads.
Yeah.
He's
at that spot where
you have to
knows.
wonder how much he has left, right?
Well, especially knowing you're not going to get another title fight.
Yeah, like you have to wonder how much he wants to keep going. I'm sure he wants to, but as far as like, can he? I mean,
36 years old.
as long as Davison is champion, he will never get another title shot.
I'd imagine, and I think he even kind of said this after he lost to Davison, he doesn't want to go out on a loss. So I think he would be content
Yeah.
with winning his next fight and going out on a win. That's what I think.
So this matchup is similar to how I saw, if you remember a fight a few years ago when Yair Rodriguez was on his come up,
Yeah.
which he kind of still is, but much earlier on. And he went up against Frankie Edgar,
Yeah.
and Frankie smashed him.
Oh, man.
But going into that fight,
Everybody doubted Frankie.
people doubted Frankie, but there was also just like, is he gonna finish Frankie?
Yeah.
Because at that time Frankie had never been finished.
Right.
This matchup is somewhat similar to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody would be counting out Benavidez, and I would be too, because
I would be picking Royval.
I'm all on the Royval train. But this would be the fight. As much as I want to see Moreno I like Moreno getting that fight, so it kind of both guys can kind of like really capitalize off a win over the other. This one, however, is more for one, does Benavidez finish his career on top, stopping a hype train, showing that he still has it,
Yeah.
while Royval can go in and try to be the legend killer. And that's the number 1 guy in the division.
I think that's a fight that is not out of the realm of possibility.
Benavidez always puts on a great fight. Royval in his 2 fights has put on back-to-back fight of the nights, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's gotten 250G, baby.
Thanks, Luke. So, for Royval here and Benavidez, I think they would put on an absolute show. I can't say as confidently that Royval and Moreno will put on quite that same level of show.
I think we're going to see
Moreno has...
I think we're going to see a little grappling match
with
Moreno. The actual fight that's happening. Brandon squared.
Yeah, I agree with that. Brandon has a more safe style, so he has a lot of decisions on his record. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying he's been in boring fights. I'm just calling it as it is. While Benavidez and Royval, more so Benavidez, sure, he's had his fair share of decisions, but that guy has put on classics.
Yep.
And I think that this is like the vet versus the up-and-comer.
Yep.
But it wouldn't, in my eyes, I could be wrong, Royval could go in there and destroy him, and everybody's like, why did this fight get made?
Right.
I don't think it would be as one-sided as maybe people would think. People are going to count out Benavidez because of his last 2 losses, especially the last one, how bad that was for him. But the lead up to it, he was on fire. I mean, he earned a title shot again. So that's kind of where I stand there. I don't know. There's something interesting to that matchup to me. There's just something that makes me gravitate towards it.
I like it. I think it's a fight that's not out of the realm of possibility.
I was close to doing Davison Cody Garbrandt, actually. Even though we're kind of scared of that fight for Cody because we are big Cody fans, I just think that fight definitely did have me like excited.
Yeah.
More so than Figgy versus Alex Perez.
Yeah.
Not to saying that won't be a good fight, but Garbrandt, Davison.
It's the name.
Sure, and just the fact that I think...
And just stylistically.
I've seen from Cody that guy always win or lose.
Yeah, Cody's going out to...
He's always putting on a show, and Davison has showed nothing less than that as well.
Yep.
But I'll leave it there.
I like that. That's a good fight.
So now we move on to bantamweight.
This is where my first honorable mention will occur.
So do you want to do that first?
So, my honorable mention for men's bantamweight, I just want to... I've got, let's see, 1, 2... I have 5 total honorable mentions, and they all start here. So, obviously, I haven't had any yet. So, this is my first one. I had to mention it. We've got the legend, the matchup of legends. Number 5, Frankie Edgar. Number 10, Dominic Cruz. A fight that's already had talks immediately after Frankie's win and his bantamweight debut. Neither one of these dudes have anything else to prove. They could ride off into the sunset, guaranteed UFC Hall of Fame, right? It's safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
But why not? If they both still have the hunger to fight, why not pair them together? Never have fought before. Why give them these up-and-coming prospects that are still young and in their prime? Let's do this fight, man. I think it's a fight that might even happen, but it's really exciting to me, so I just wanted to throw it in. Yeah. That's my honorable mention.
It's like given their due.
Yes. So, but the fight on my list, the Magic Man, number 1 ranked Marlon Moraes, who's fighting this Saturday that will be breaking down on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Nice plug.
Versus No Love. Number 3 ranked Cody Garbrandt.
I have the same fight. I have the same exact fight.
That's a mic drop fight. See ya. Sign me up.
Someone's going to sleep.
Yep. Precisely. If we're talking stylistically, that might be one of my favorite stylistic matchups on my whole list.
They're the 2 hardest punchers in that whole division.
Yeah. It's not close.
I would say there's a distinct power.
We're talking 1 punch, 1 kick, like 1 shot. You're going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
See Cody's last fight for an example. See Marlon's fight against Aljamain Sterling as an example.
Or Jimmy Rivera.
Okay, on to the next division. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, think about it. That fight and in terms of title shot implications, number 1, number 3, it makes sense. Again, this is all what we want to see. Of course, we know Cody's probably going to fight at flyweight, and Marlon, of course, is fighting Saturday. But I think it's genuinely a fight that makes sense, especially when Marlon's coming off that controversial win over Aldo. So technically, if he beats Sandhagen on Saturday, he'd be on a 2-fight win streak. There's a new champion, so he can kind of justify that title shot. But Cody's coming off a big win. Maybe Marlon should get one more win against a guy like Cody. Cody needs one more win to get back to the title. It just makes sense.
I like it.
And someone's going to sleep.
I mean, I like it, obviously. That's the fight I picked.
So we've had 2 so far.
Yeah, and I really can't say it any better. Just stylistically, let's be honest. Sure, some of the best fights of all time are decisions, but we love seeing people go to sleep.
We do.
It's the animal in us, right?
Yeah.
You know, you just can't help it. The savage.
Yes.
That's a fight that's... You know when Dana's saying about Adesanya Costa,
fight of the year.
This is a guaranteed, all-time classic.
Someone in this fight's getting a bonus.
To me, this fight is, one I would guarantee would be...
Fireworks.
If I wanted to show someone MMA for the first time...
It would be that.
I would ask them to watch that potential card.
Couldn't agree more.
especially because he's from Ohio too.
Yeah,
so you have
right.
that. We have that added
Right.
element in there. But yeah, that's couldn't said it better myself.
Boom.
So we're on to featherweight here.
Yes.
I'll take this one first.
Okay.
I picked a fight that is booked.
Oh.
Brian Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. This fight both hurts me, but also excites me to no end. It hurts me because these are probably, Max in there obviously, but they're two probably favorite guys in the
that division. Oh man.
But stylistically and just the added heat to this whole rivalry now that they've kind of garnered, and the build up, it was canceled almost a year ago,
Yep.
and now we're here. We're about a week.
We're breaking it down next week.
It's a week from Saturday, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
next Saturday.
This fight should be nuts.
Oh man. Oh man.
So where to begin here? Okay.
Well, first off,
Can we-
Chan Sung Jung is called the Korean Zombie.
Can we just say that these are two of the most well-rounded martial artists on my entire list here?
Yeah.
Like, there's no clear...
Especially Korean Zombie, I
Yes.
think more so.
Yes, but I will say Ortega has underrated striking.
Yeah.
It has been proven that he can strike. He
Yes.
knocked out Frankie Edgar.
The first ever
and
person to
he
finish
hung
him.
around with Max Holloway for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though...
Then he got... But yes, I agree.
But overall, he showed some things on the feet in that fight.
Yeah.
Here you have him and Korean Zombie. God, just stylistically, I'll start there. These two, Ortega has the jiu-jitsu.
Oh, man.
Like no other.
You want to talk about a submission specialist?
He was trained by Gracie, so
Yeah.
he's legit.
He is...
Black belt, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. With the underrated hands, Korean Zombie is a guy that goes to war. That's the best way I can put it.
Oh, yeah.
He definitely, I would say, prefers to keep it on the feet, but he's no slouch on the ground either.
No, he had the first ever Twister submission victory
Yes,
in
he
the
did.
UFC.
If that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what will.
How many Twisters have there been in UFC
I think
history?
it's like 3 or 4.
2 or 3? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure 2, or no, not 2. One, Bryce Mitchell being one.
Bryce
of those.
has one, yeah.
So stylistically, I would have no idea where that fight would end up.
Oh,
But
man.
part of me believes that it wouldn't go all 5 rounds. Well, 5 rounds because that's what it's booked right now, the main event.
Dude, Zombies fight with Yair Rodriguez.
That fight broke my heart because Zombie was winning that fight.
I think we have potential for that with this fight.
Actually,
This fight is literally about to happen.
Yeah. To me, there's no guarantee that this fight will be a stand-up war or it'll be a grappling war. Wherever it goes, it's going to be a war.
It's going to be great. Great fight. It's going to be... I love this little phrase. And I want this on merch one day. Beautiful chaos.
Yeah,
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
If this does not have the makings to be beautiful chaos on the feet or on the ground,
And I'll just throw in the added element of this is a rivalry.
Yeah.
So you go back to when they were booked the first time, they were super cordial.
Yeah.
They were
they
chummy.
had a
They had a nice little
little
thing where like Ortega
Brian gave him
he did
something.
like the heart thing, like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's something in that culture.
And they're laughing.
Yeah, and they like kind of hug.
And,
So they're like all chummy. Well, that didn't last too long
right.
because Brian slaps up
Korean Zombie's manager.
and translator.
Yes.
Korean Zombie's like, I'm going to kill you. That's literally, I'm pretty sure that's what he said. He said, I will kill you. And I was like, oh.
Alrighty
The
then.
honeymoon phase is over. These two guys, I can't wait to watch like the weigh-in, the face-off, everything. Like these two guys, like they have already built up the reputation of being Iron Men, of being men that are just like
durable,
durable,
tough.
leave it all out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Korean Zombie with the nickname.
Yeah.
But Ortega has proven it in that Holloway fight that he can take.
He didn't want to give up. The
No.
doctor stopped that fight, you know?
Yeah. So, to me, this could go all 5 rounds, but neither guy will be the same if it does.
No, not at all. If it goes 5 rounds, they might not ever fight again. Because
I'm just gonna leave it there. Because
we can't go into much more because We got to break it down.
We got to break it down here soon.
You want to know what mine is?
What is it, Dom?
Korean Zombie's in my fight.
Oh yeah.
You know who he's fighting?
I'm gonna let you say it, but I have a guess.
Max Blessed.
Yep, I thought that might be the.
I got chills just now. Can you think about that for a second? Think about that fight. These guys have never fought before. Isn't that kind of mind-blowing? Mind-blowing. Max Holloway went on a 14-fight win streak, and these two never fought each other. Part of that being Korean Zombie had his 2 years required military service with South Korea, and then they just never lined up, and blah, 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 blah. But now is the time. Max lost his belt to Alexander in a very controversial rematch that he had where he arguably won, but, blah, 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 he didn't. Korean Zombie has all the hype in the world right now on a 2-fight win streak. Both of these guys come to fight. This, I don't have any doubt in my mind, would be a stand-up war. Whereas we compare it to Ortega versus Korean Zombie, they might go to the ground and have a great grappling match and submissions and stuff. They're standing on the feet for 5 rounds until somebody falls. And I won't be convinced otherwise. I can't fathom how great of a fight this would be. I can't put it into words. But the fact that we get to see Ortega and Chan Sung Jung literally in real life in a week and a half, of course, leads me to like your fight more and more.
Right.
But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. We can see a Max Holloway Korean Zombie fight.
If Korean Zombie wins at least, very decisively, I'm talking,
he might get a title shot.
Yeah, that's true. But he could end up being paired up with Max.
But I do agree. I think it's going to depend on how they win. Ortega especially, I see if Ortega wins, he's probably guaranteed a title fight. Even though his last fight was against Holloway and he lost because he's been injured and he hasn't fought in forever, he still only has 1 loss on his resume. So, say he goes out there and submits Korean Zombie or TKOs him, and the champ's not Max anymore, I think he gets a title shot.
Gotcha.
Korean Zombie's ranked 4th, so it's a little tougher for him because Zabit's ahead of him.
Right.
Max is ahead of him. A little tougher to get to the title shot. If he goes out there and just knocks T-City out, then I'm all for the title shot.
Right.
But I think that Max needs a fight right now because he's not going to get that trilogy fight. I don't want that trilogy fight. Max Korean Zombie would be my matchmaking. And I guess we'll talk about matchmaking in this division in a week and a half.
Yeah, this is true.
Whew.
This is true.
We can't go into so much detail because we're going to literally break this down.
Yeah.
So I love it. Love both fights.
Now we're on to the most stacked division in
Ooh,
the UFC.
sorry. I have another honorable mention, by the way, for featherweight.
Go ahead.
I have it written on the side here really small, and I saw it. My honorable mention for men's featherweight, if we're talking men's featherweight, I have to bring up Sadiq.
Yeah.
I have to.
Okay.
Sadiq Youssef, number 7, Josh Emmett. Another fight where someone's probably going to sleep. Now, I will say Josh Emmett has rightfully so deserved to where he shouldn't have to fight down anymore. Josh is ranked 7th. Sadiq is ranked 11th. I do think it's somewhat realistic, but again, Josh is very adamant that I'm fighting someone ranked higher than me. I'm not fighting guys ranked below me anymore. But in terms of a stylistic fight, and for Sadiq to continue on this path he's on, he's undefeated in the UFC. And if he gets a top 10 guy and beats him, he's right in there with the contenders now. So that's just a fight I think would be really fun. Maybe we see it in the future, maybe we don't. But I had to, again, throw it in.
Mm-hmm.
Sadiq Youssef is the man. He's one of my favorite fighters.
He's your guy. By no means do I dislike him. I love him.
Me with Sadiq is you with Royval. I think that's a fair comparison.
You're that or Thiago Santos.
Oh, yeah, right.
But,
so, yeah, that's my honorable mention for men's featherweight.
I like it. So that moves us into the most stacked division in the UFC, lightweight. And I'm going to let you take it first because I think there might be a spoiler for your pick here in our thumbnail. If you're watching on YouTube.
I'm going to go with my honorable mention first then. I have an honorable mention for the men's lightweight as well. Habib Nurmagomedov, undefeated, champion, most dominant champion in the UFC, maybe in UFC history. You know who I think would really be a test? and who is so slept on. And I just have to say it. I just have to say it. Charles Oliveira. Let it just simmer. Think about it. Now look. People are probably like, dude, Habib would smash. Habib smash, right? I get it. Habib has very good chance to smash anybody. But if there's anyone outside of Gaethje that could really, really pose a threat to Habib, and I think, especially on the ground, there's no other threat as big as Oliveira for Habib. Oliveira has the record for the most submissions in UFC history. You know how many it is, Noah?
How many is it?
14.
That's a lot of
14 submissions.
That's a few.
There's people that don't win 14 fights in their career. This man's got 14 wins by submission. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He might be the most slept-on fighter in the UFC. In terms of, ranked fighters, I'll say it that way. And I'm not going to stand for it any longer. Now, again, this is not a fight that would happen right now, right? Oliveira's ranked 6th. Yeah. Habib's the champ. But again, this is about the matchups. And boy, oh boy, does this one really intrigue me.
I love Charles Oliveira. I love that.
Absolute stud.
Definitely an underrated guy, for sure. So underrated. Probably one of the most underrated guys slept on.
Yes.
Now, we love like a guy like Beneil Dariush, who's ranked 11th.
Yeah.
But guess what? They were booking Oliveira versus him before he got hurt. That was 6 He was fighting down almost double his position. Mm-hmm. And he came off a huge win over Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, what's ahead of him is a killer's row who are all like potentially looking at title fights and big money fights and whatnot. But
now, what I realistically see for Oliveira next is a guy, Dan Hooker, 6 versus 4.
That would make the most sense to me. I don't know if it'll happen because again they tried to book him against Dariush. Maybe that fight happens again. Call me crazy, but maybe if Islam Makhachev makes a statement against RDA, you get that matchup.
Right. But again, stylistically, I had to throw this in there. More so to give love to Oliveira.
And it's kind of out of left field, like it is.
And I
didn't see it coming.
There's not been this guy where, like, can someone actually submit Habib? Like, going into a fight, stylistically, you're like, oh, Habib might get knocked out, or maybe even against a guy like RDA years back, oh, someone can wrestle with Habib. But this is a guy that can strike, by the way. This guy has KO TKO 2 of his last 3 wins.
Yeah.
But he has 14 submission wins. No.
I mean, technically, the closest Habib has came to being submitted was by Poirier.
It's almost as if...
Who is a natural boxer.
Yeah, exactly. Would Habib want to go on the ground? I know Habib's very confident in his wrestling. For great reason. But just think.
But what has
to do, Oliveira knows his shit on the ground. It takes one wrong move, which Habib probably doesn't make any bad moves, but it's just that possibility of seeing some huge upset. That's all.
You know what? You kind of sold it to me more and more as you talked about it. But get into your actual.
But yeah, my actual. Again, that was an honorable mention. There's 2 more to go after that one. The fight. Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson. It should be the co-main event.
It should
here in 2.5 weeks.
It should be.
And it's not.
It's not.
It's gotten to the point where it might not even happen at all. Nope. Because Dustin might go to Ireland and box with Conor for charity, and now he might just fight Conor in the UFC. And God, Tony's just left in the dark. Damn it. Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier. Violence.
Say less.
Again, if you're watching on YouTube, that's the picture here. In the
for good reason.
This is a fight that makes the most sense. These guys have never fought each other. How? It just has to happen. It's 2 versus 3. The winner gets a title shot. I mean, gosh. I'm just getting angry.
Oh, I get it. This fight could have been happening in literally a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And now
it's not. It may never.
And stylistically, that matchup is actual chaos, beautiful chaos. It's violence.
It is one of the best fights in UFC history. Has the potential to be.
Yeah. No, that is not a hot take by any means.
Yeah. What a fight. Two fan favorites. Again, stylistically, just absolute slugfest on the feet. Both guys talented on the ground. Ferguson with those weird little mechanisms that he does.
Just a very awkward guy.
Yeah, and Dustin's such a technical boxer, but he can still grapple and he can throw in a gilly. You know, he loves talking about the gilly. I need to see that fight. That's all.
Oh, I get it.
I had to say it.
I actually didn't pick that fight. Surprisingly.
You're intriguing me here.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, I didn't. Because when I first saw it announced, it was one of the most excited I've ever been.
Yeah.
But I have to. There's one fight that I have to.
I don't know what it is.
I have to pick this one.
Maybe
you all that are listening, you might want to go hide for this one.
Wait.
Because I'm picking Habib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson.
Oh.
Why do I say you all need to go hide? Because this fight, it took a damn pandemic to stop it from happening. This fight has been booked 5 times. How many did I say? 5 times. That's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. 5 times, Dom. And guess how many times this fight has happened?
Donut.
Zilch.
The O has got to go.
This fight has to happen at some point. I get it. Tony had a tough loss to Gaethje, and that has definitely died down the chirping for this fight. But if Habib beats Justin Gaethje, if the rumored matchup of Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler takes place, and Tony were to win, there's no reason why this fight still can't happen.
Right.
And what a way it could be for Habib's last fight.
That could be number 30.
Now, in the Tony versus Gaethje fight, you saw Tony get pieced up quite a bit on the feet. Habib is not going to have that same capability as Justin had. Not saying Habib can't hang. You saw he put Conor on his ass. Well, not quite on his ass, but he
shocked the world
Yeah.
when that shot landed.
But he's not going to be able to do what Justin did. He's going to have to wrestle.
Yeah.
Tony, being the awkward, lanky guy he is, kind of what you were saying about Oliveira.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
It's very much the same thing you said with Oliveira, but I'm saying it with Tony just because I think it's a name value and the fact that this fight is like 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
Tony really maybe I know a lot of people are starting to side maybe with Gaethje potentially upsetting Habib, but in my eyes, out of the top 5, because Oliveira's outside the top
Tony's
5,
the biggest threat.
Tony is the biggest threat to Habib in my opinion. I think he has the best style for Habib. Now it could end up just being Habib smash, but that's with any of these.
Yeah.
And I if I never see this fight, it's going to haunt me for a long time.
Yeah.
To this day, it does. I really was so excited for this fight to happen when it last got announced. I thought for sure. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. That was supposed to be
That was supposed
this
to headline.
March or April? I think it was April. Yeah.
Because it was supposed to headline UFC 249.
Yeah. That was the one.
And then COVID happens.
Yeah. And so Habib couldn't travel. And then in steps Justin Gaethje.
Yep. And, it's a shame.
You feel for Tony.
It's a shame. Tony has, with that win streak he went on, this one loss, if he's able to bounce back from it, even with just one fight, even if it's just Chandler.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though it's a guy who's never fought in UFC, to me, it's enough.
The UFC knows how bad people want
the
this.
Fans deserve this fight.
We deserve this.
I don't use that. I hate the word deserve. I hate it.
But if there's any fight...
If there's any fight I'll use it for,
it's this one.
It's this one.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all I can say about it.
Dana even spoke on it recently in a media scrum.
Yes, he did.
Something about how he's willing to risk an asteroid strike for this fight to happen. So, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Mm-hmm. Now we move on to welterweight. And to me, this one was kind of hard. It was a little hard.
Oh, I love this one.
But there was one that stuck out to me. Even though I don't have much faith in it happening, stylistically and the behind the scenes of it. I'll give my honorable mention first.
I'm glad you have one.
Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal is my honorable mention. Reason being,
I think that's what we're going to get.
I think we'll get it, but I also don't have a ton of faith in it being the most exciting fight.
I respect
What
that.
I have more faith in being an exciting fight for Jorge Masvidal, who's number 4. Right above him, number 3, Leon Edwards.
It has to happen. The 3-piece in the soda.
For Leon, a guy who has continuously been slept on and really lately is kind of doing it to himself, but
Yeah, he's getting some hate.
he's been slept on and it's not fair to him. This fight makes so much sense for both guys. Even though Leon's not the name that Jorge is, that story, the 3
Yeah, you have the video, you have the storyline, you have Jorge that's going to backpack the promotional piece regardless.
Agreed.
Then you've got a guy like Leon, hasn't lost in 4 years, 8-fight win streak, all this from the UK, another star or a rising star from that region. It's there. I know it's not a Jorge Colby hype or a Jorge Nate Diaz, but it's there.
And stylistically, this fight stays on the feet, I believe.
Yeah, 100%. And Jorge's going to bring it to Leon.
Leon's
not going to be able to be as technical as he would wish. I don't think.
Leon has a very technical boxing style. Almost like a point fighter in boxing, as they call it.
Nickname being Rocky, by the way.
Yeah. Masvidal is going to bring those powerful leg kicks.
His kicks are nasty as lately, man.
And I just think that fight would be fireworks.
Yeah.
Who knows? Will we ever see it? Probably not. But
I'd like to think.
I think that it makes a lot of sense because basically for what we're talking about with the 3-piece and a soda, Masvidal, after his huge, basically coming out party, I guess, in a way,
that's what started it.
the knockout win over Darren Till, he's being interviewed post-fight backstage, and another guy fought that night.
Yep.
It was Leon Edwards.
In London.
Yep. Well, Leon starts, I don't know if he starts eyeballing.
Yeah, the post-fight interview.
Yeah. And Masvidal is just kind of like...
They're chirping.
Masvidal is like, why don't you do something? So Leon kind of walks up to him and is like, yo, I'll get in your face. You ain't going to do shit. Masvidal puts his hands behind his back.
Let's just say, before you tell the details, if you walk up to Masvidal and he has his hands behind his back, something bad's about to happen. Ask Leon. Ask Ben Askren. Ben Askren, go to sleep.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Anyways.
Masvidal puts his hands behind his back, unloads a 3-piece.
And a soda.
On Leon's face.
Cut him. Blood dripping down his face. No gloves on. This is bare knuckle.
My man Masvidal's wearing flip-flops.
Yeah, bare knuckle FC backstage. It was a no-holds-barred match.
It's kind of been a shock that fight never happened.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it kind of did. It happened backstage.
Right.
Masvidal won, Edwards 0.
TKO doctor stoppage.
But, again, this fight makes a lot of sense. And stylistically, while the hype for it is not Colby Masvidal, I think it's a better fight than Colby Masvidal.
I agree.
So what's yours?
No honorable mention.
Okay.
But boy, do I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm. Number 10. Tied for number 10. Somehow. I don't know how they do ties in the rankings. Just give someone a damn 11 spot. Anyway. Vicente Luque. Number 12. Jeff Neal.
Definitely out of left. I don't want to say out of left field. Hear him out, people.
This fight's fantastic.
Yeah. I agree so much. that I even put this in a previous episode on our Versus.
Yeah, it was on
episode.
your Versus pay-per-view
Yeah.
card.
This fight is fireworks.
The Silent Assassin, Vicente Luque. Hands of Steel, Jeffrey Neal. This is stand-up war through and through. Absolute technical striking plus some barn burner haymakers at the same time. That perfect mix of you're going to see the very good striking, technical boxing, and the big shots. Someone has the potential to go to sleep. And I think it's a fight that makes sense. I don't think it will happen next, but maybe it will. Jeff Neal's still getting healthy from that infection he had. Vicente's on a 2-fight win streak right now. A TKO over Nico Price, doctor stoppage. KO TKO'd Randy Brown. I mean, really, he's on fire right now with that one hindrance coming against Stephen Thompson, but that's no slouch there, the number 5 guy in the world. Jeff Neal, off the Contender Series, has tons of hype behind him on a 5-fight win streak. 2 straight KO TKOs, Nico Price and Mike Perry. These guys are as tough as they come. Right next to each other in the rankings. Whoever wins is cracking top 10 next. Sign me up. That's a war. I think that's a fight night main event. I think it could easily be a fight night main event, 5 rounds.
I would agree.
I think the name power is there. I really do. If you stack it just right with good fights underneath, that could be a fight night main event. Love that fight.
I think the fight itself would deliver.
Oh man, that's another fight similar to the Moraes and
Sandhagen
and Cody,
Oh, sorry.
where you're guaranteed a good fight. There's not going to be anything boring about this fight.
Right.
Love that fight so much.
Agreed. I think that takes us to middleweight, my friend.
Hooey.
You want to go?
I do have an honorable mention here. I got two more honorable mentions.
All right.
Middleweight. I've talked about this already. Hamza Chimaev, the fastest rising star since Conor McGregor. I think that's safe to say, right?
Yeah.
Has all the hype around him in the world right now. He's fighting in 17 different weight classes. Hasn't barely been touched. He's been touched, 3 times in 3 fights? Fucking crazy. Number 14 ranked Marvin Vettori, Noah. This is the fight. Chimaev wants to get ranked, beat number 14 ranked, and then you can go to your top 10 like you want.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. Don't get me wrong. He just doesn't deserve it yet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I get it.
And that's for both divisions, but this is for middleweight specifically. And who better to kind of welcome him into, those rankings? Welcome to the top 15 than the Italian dream, Marvin Vettori. Another very good striker, very technical striker, but he's good on the ground. 2 wins via submission. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Chimaev, 3-fight win streak, obviously, 3-0 in the UFC. I really like the style of this fight. Again, if Chimaev were to win, then the world is yours, my friend.
The world
Call
is
out
yours.
whoever you want. I just want him to get that one ranked win in either division. So for middleweight, that's what it is for me.
Vittori, do not sleep on him either.
Do not sleep on Vettori at all.
My man has not been able to be active because everybody keeps dropping out of the fight.
Yeah, and by the way...
Split decision without Adesanya.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of...
No.
That's what I was going to say.
I've stole your thunder plenty of times. Split decision means a judge had Vettori winning that fight.
Against Adesanya.
Against Israel Adesanya. 20-0.
One of the best champions the UFC has.
Yes. And the best striker in the UFC right now.
Yeah.
Almost beat him. Anyway, that's just my honorable mention.
Yeah.
My fight that I think we're going to see down the road, whether it be for a title or not, the champion Israel Adesanya, number 6 ranked Darren Till. Listen. The odds of someone going to sleep in this fight might be on the lower side. And I'm okay with that. Because we are taking 2 of the best strikers in all of the UFC. 2 of the most technical, just perfectionist type strikers. Throwing them in a cage against one another. I think it would be a masterful display of striking and mixed martial arts. Kickboxing, everything. Muay Thai, elbows, punches, everything. And I think we see this fight down the road. I don't know when,
Well, Israel,
Darren wants it.
Israel wants it.
Israel wants it.
He wants Darren to earn it. Like
So
bad.
much so that I could see Darren just winning one fight, being Jack Hermanson. I think they're even
Yeah.
scheduled to fight. If Darren can beat Jack and convincingly, you got to think Darren's only loss in this division is against Bobby Knuckles,
Yeah.
former champion, who Israel knocked out. You know, I like that fight. I
agree.
think we see it one day again. Might not be for a belt. Might be for a belt. Might be at 205 pounds. They're both huge. Darren Till's like the biggest middleweight. It's crazy how he even makes it. And the fact that he used to try and get to welterweight
know.
blows my mind even
Yeah.
more. So I don't care if it's in the street, in a nursing home when they're 78 years old, or at light heavyweight, lightweight. I don't care. That's my fight.
It
for
would
the
be an
middleweight.
art form of striking.
It really would be. Some would even go out and say maybe it might be boring, but you really have to appreciate the level of striking they both have to see the beauty in this fight.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it a lot. I also have Darren Till in mind. He's ranked number 5 or 6, excuse me, at middleweight.
Who you got?
I have him versus Paulo Costa.
Oh, I knew that's what you were going to say.
Number 2. Let's do this again, shall we? Everything I said about Costa versus Israel, I will say for this fight. Because this is not meant to be disrespect at Darren Till. But at this point, he is in some ways Adesanya light. He is like he is not quite Adesanya, but he, in a lot of ways, mimics Adesanya. He has a lot of Adesanya's style to him.
Yeah.
The crisp technical striking
Yes.
being the obvious one. But he is a much bigger man.
He's huge. Paulo is
Costa,
also.
Paulo Costa is also huge.
Yes.
And Paulo Costa, again, I know he's been clowned quite a bit for his performance at 253. But do not forget that he is a killer.
Yes.
And he will come forward.
Yes.
And
We
I
think.
I know, again.
Hey, that's the Izzy effect.
Yeah.
Trademark. Just
I
kidding.
don't know if he feels the same. I don't know what the word
Pressure?
is. I don't think he looks as funny in the light when he's going up against Darren Till.
Yeah.
I think he's able to unload a little bit. Not saying he wins, but that's why I want to see it. Because you have two guys that contrast each other in a lot of ways with their striking.
Yep.
But Darren has been knocked out. Really, I mean, even against Tyron Woodley, he was very hurt by strikes. Paulo has the power to do it. Can he land the right one? Can Darren stay on the outside?
Right.
Can he use his footwork? Can he clinch properly? Can he keep him at distance? Whatever it is that he's going for there, can he do that?
Yeah.
Like how Adesanya did.
Yeah.
To me, if he does it, then you really go, okay, Till versus Adesanya.
Dude, that'd be a big fight.
Yeah.
Big fight. Worldwide, global fight.
I'm not quite sold on Till versus Adesanya, even if he beats Hermanson. But if he beats Hermanson and then is able to basically replicate what Adesanya did to Costa, or even just beat him, really.
Yeah. So what if... So, right, again, real life. Number 1, Whitaker. Number 3, Cannonier fighting next. The winner, that's probably fighting Adesanya. Safe to say. I think.
I actually only think they'll do that.
Only if Cannonier wins.
I don't know if Whitaker gets it.
So say Till starches Hermanson. Knocks him out first round. Can Till just wait to see if Izzy defends against Cannonier Whitaker?
If Whitaker, the only way I think Darren gets a title shot is if he looks super impressive against Hermanson,
and then just waits for.
and if Whitaker beats Cannonier. I think you could arguably give him. I could see them giving him the. I think Izzy would rather fight Till than at that point.
Than to rematch Whitaker.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to.
Not saying it can't happen. I love Bobby Knuckles. I'd love to see it run back. See if Whitaker can make some adjustments.
Right.
He looked damn impressive against Darren Till. Again, he has the win over him. So,
Yep.
you know, maybe they don't do that. But just saying that I could see it happening because Adesanya has made it clear he wants to fight Darren Till down the road.
Right.
Yeah, that's middleweight. Now on to light heavy.
The new, refreshed light heavyweight division of the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
What a division right now.
What a champion we have.
Yes,
in
Polish power.
Jan Blachowicz with that impressive
Yes.
victory over Dominic Reyes. So many people counted him out. I'm going to keep this simple. The fight to make is Jan Blachowicz versus Thiago Santos 2. Jan Blachowicz is champion. Thiago Santos ranked number 1. They fought.
That was Jan's last loss.
Yes. They fought, and I believe it was either early 2018 or early 2019. I think it was early 2019. It was ESPN.
Let me look at dates on Jan's wins.
It was ESPN, so it was 2019. Thiago beat Jan impressively, finished him.
That's what
Now-
launched him to a title shot.
Yeah, now you have Jan, who's the champion, who has been knocking out everybody. Thiago is on the... Now he has to prove that he can still fight for a belt.
Right.
He hasn't fought in over a year after arguably winning the belt against John Jones.
On one leg.
I always say that. On one leg, unfortunately, that's the added factor there
Yeah.
where he has not fought since.
Yep.
So he has a big fight with Glover Teixeira coming up. If he wins that, book it.
Oh, yeah. That's the clear-cut number 1 contender fight for sure.
Blachowicz Santos, book it.
I love it.
That's all I can say.
I mean, stylistic-wise, too, it's going to be
Power
a striking...
versus power.
Yes, precisely that.
And I love Thiago Santos so much. So
I'm going to be honest. I mean, again, this is barring how Thiago looks against Glover. I'd be picking Jan as of right now. Again, if Thiago comes out and just starches Glover, then I could be saying something completely different. So this is my last honorable mention of the episode. Or were you done with that one?
Yep.
And this is my honorable mention because I'm going to speak this fight into existence. That's why it's my honorable mention. Thiago Santos welcoming back Anthony Rumble Johnson to the light heavyweight division. I'm not going to stop talking about this fight until it's signed, sealed, and delivered. I'm speaking it into existence now. I've been doing it in like 3 or 4 other episodes. It was on my Versus pay-per-view card. Fireworks right here. And Rumble rightfully deserves a top 3 opponent in my opinion because when he retired, he left at the number 1 ranked spot, losing in a championship fight. The step below going out on top. So he deserves a top 3. And if we're talking styles, woo! Him and Thiago matched up against one another. I'm getting too excited here. It's fireworks. That's a fight night headliner. Shit, that's a co-main on a pay-per-view. And that's everything and more that I think the fans would want to see at both point in their careers. They're both a little older now, in the upper 30s. Both still have the potential to become champ, especially in this new look division. I have to mention it.
Oh, of course. That fight sounds amazing.
Yes.
And I almost love it more for Thiago because I think I'd pick him in that fight.
It'd be tough. It's hard, right? Because you don't have anything really to judge Anthony off of.
No, because he hasn't fought since 2017.
Yeah. So, hopefully, Rumble should be back in 2021. So, that's what it's looking like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my actual fight that I wrote down, I think you'll like this one.
Oh, you didn't pick that one.
That was my honorable
Oh,
mention.
I thought that was the one you picked.
I've just mentioned it so much, I didn't want to make it my sole thing.
Gotcha.
But I had to say it.
Yeah.
Number 4, Alexander Rakic. Number 5, Yuri Prochava. Got your boy, Yuri. And I think they were talking some trash.
Rakic kind of sounding dumb.
Yeah, said he's going to get a title shot.
Said he doesn't look back. He said maybe you'll earn your way.
I'm like, huh? I think this fight makes all the sense in the world from a ranking standpoint. Really, the winner could get a title shot, just the way the division is. It depends on how Thiago and Glover plays out and so on and so forth. Winner maybe fights Dominic Reyes, something like that. But yeah, Yuri and Alexander. Yuri's going to press forward, insane pressure, power punches. We saw what he did to Volkan. Alexander, on the other hand, just dismantled Anthony Smith, which that hurts.
The power in the hands versus the power in the legs.
This man might have the strongest kicks I've seen in the UFC in recent years.
His legs are fucking tree
like
trunks.
I was sitting there watching the fight with Smith, and I'm like, ow, ow! Every time he would kick Anthony, I'm hurting. watching on the TV, sitting in
Yeah.
my freaking place. I think that's an exciting fight. I don't think it goes the distance. I think someone gets finished. So, I know Yuri's your boy. What are your kind of thoughts on a matchup like that? For him, it makes all the sense
Oh
in the
yeah,
world.
I'm big on Yuri Prochazka, almost to the point where like, because I love Tiago, right?
Yeah.
But the more I look back on that video we did where we predicted who the champions would be this time next year, the more I realized that like I'd probably change a lot of my picks now. We're not even 2 months.
Well, you got to think when we made that episode, John Jones was still the champion.
Yeah, that's
so it was
true.
a lot harder.
Yeah.
Now the division's as open as it's ever been.
But I think he has a great shot to be champion this time next year.
Yuri?
Yeah. I don't know if he'll be. It depends on if he's active enough and everything else, how he looks in these fights, obviously. But, and really, Rakic has a great case to be that as well.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I feel like I keep counting out Jan, but I don't see Jan having a long title reign. He's 37. Sure, he's looked incredible, and that fight with Reyes showed that he's the best light heavyweight right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long it's going to last. It's
I
kind of
agree.
like the last hurrah.
It's hard right now, man. You don't have that guy no more that's been on top
And there's
of
a
the
lot of
division.
guys coming up that are much younger than him. And that fight, though, just on itself, madness. I just said it. The power in the hands versus the power in the legs. And also they have power everywhere.
Everywhere,
But,
yes.
you're going to see Jiri with the powerful strikes with the hands. Powerful punches, I guess I should say.
Yep.
Rakic, those power leg kicks, which are so dangerous. And Jiri has just such a wild style, yet it's that term we keep throwing out there, the beautiful chaos.
Yep.
He's chaotic, but it's technical.
Right.
It's what I noticed when he fought Vulcan was he did a lot of crazy stuff, even ate some shots.
Yeah.
But it was always to get Vulcan where he wanted him to be. It was like trying to get him off his game.
Right.
Because when you have a guy coming at you with these wild strikes and just acting crazy, it can get in your head.
Right.
And it did to
Yep.
Vulcan.
Yep.
So I think you see that similar matchup
Kind
here.
of, yeah.
Rakic has shown more for me when it comes to staying composed than Vulcan has.
Yes.
So it's a step up.
Rakic is very calm, seems to have his wits about him, knows what he's going to do and when he's
Yeah.
going to do it. It's a fun one.
Yeah. I love it. I love that you're giving those guys like that.
They're due.
Yeah. But this all roads lead to heavyweight now.
I'm just going to be honest, this is my weakest fight.
Well,
I'm going to really shock you here.
Okay.
You're going to probably want to slap me in the
all right,
face.
so I'll let you go first.
I just want to preface that I picked this fight. People are going to be like, what the fuck? Listen. This division's weak. And I say that in a sense that everybody has fought each other. That's why I say that.
Yeah.
Literally, obviously, they're not weak. They're very fun. Heavyweight fights are great. We love watching heavyweight fights. Francis and Stipe have fought. Francis and Curtis have fought. Rosenstruik and Ngannou have fought. Rosenstruik and Overeem have fought. Derek Lewis has fought Volkov. Derek Lewis has fought Ngannou. Like, ugh. Everybody in the top six has fought each other essentially, outside of like a Lewis versus Miocic, which can't happen right now. It's out of the realm of possibility. And a Rosenstruik and Miocic. Like, so I went out of the box.
Okay.
And I went with a guy that's making a name for himself right now. Number 15 ranked, Tanner Bosner,
Nice.
the Canadian.
It's Bozer.
Bozer, yes, sorry. It's literally right in front of me, and I said Bosner. Tanner Bozer. He's 19-6. He's ranked 15th in the division from Canada. He kind of has the potential to be that next that dude from Canada. There's not that many of them, and especially at heavyweight.
Yeah.
And it's a division that just is. I don't know. Stipe's the man. It's nothing
feel
against
like
him, but it's
it's
just kind of stale. So I like when something fresh happens, right? Just like with the flyweights, with the light heavyweights going on right now. Bozer's on a 2-fight KO TKO streak against Philip Lenz and then Rafael Pessoa. Before that, he lost to Cyril Gain, who, by the way, is undefeated in the top 15. Don't sleep on that dude.
Yeah, he's ranked 13th.
6-0, 3-0 in the UFC. And I'm putting Bozer against a man that just lost in a fight night main event against Alistair Overeem, number 10 ranked Augusto Sakai. I'll let some time go on so people are like, ugh, this guy.
I'm not mad at this at all. I'm actually, I kind of wish you wouldn't. I get it. Like, I think it's the one you would. I think it's the one you would have the least hope for being a good fight.
Yeah.
But Bozer does have that thing about him right now.
Yes, and I like the idea of getting prospects in the heavyweight division and catapulting them into the top 5 quicker than in other divisions, because it's just played out at this point.
Right.
Stipe's beaten literally everybody.
Even though it's always
like
it always feels like heavyweight and boxing and UFC, it's like the biggest. That's obviously the biggest guys. It's the baddest man on the planet. You know. It's very much in that same level of flyweight, women's bantamweight, and women's flyweight, where inevitably or realistically, a guy can win 2 or 3 fights and be top 10.
Well, and I feel that this might be a little biased because we're huge Stipe fans, but I'm at the point where I don't think any heavyweight even poses a threat to him outside of Ngannou.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, right? It takes one punch in the heavyweight division. I get it. Derek Lewis could go in and land one shot. Oh my God, Black Beast is the champion. His balls were hot.
Yep.
And he left him on Stipe's face in the octagon. You know what I'm saying?
He teabagged him.
But just like the way I felt right now, I wanted to expand out, and I want to get these prospects going. So I like Bozer right now. He has a lot of hype behind him. People like him. He's kind of like he wants to fight anybody, anytime type of attitude.
He's been staying active during this quarantine.
He's got that, like, you look at him and he's just a guy you don't want to mess with. Like, if you saw this dude walking down the street, you're like, oh, shit, I don't want to bump into this dude. And then Sakai, he just got battle tested. They threw him in there with the Wolves. They put him in there with Overeem, a legend of the heavyweight mixed martial arts. And he didn't show up. He showed up, actually, for 3 rounds and looked great and was winning the fight. Then Alistair turned the table, and that's where the experience came to play.
And this would be a 3-round fight.
It would, yes. I don't want this to be a main event. 3-round fight, 10 versus 15. For Sakai, it's a chance to stop this hype train in the heavyweight division and kind of work right back into the top 10. For Bozer, if he were to beat a number 10 ranked guy, you're right up there where he could take on a Walt Harris, a JDS, or a Volkov next.
Yeah.
If he were to beat a guy like Sakai.
So in a way, this is almost like you feel like this is your matchup because you like what it can do for whoever wins.
Yeah, and just the division as a whole.
Yeah.
I want, so a guy like Cyril Gain, I want him to get out there and work his way up.
Yeah.
I don't want all of these guys that have been in the heavyweight division for years and years and years to just sit at the top.
Right.
I want to see change, and that was kind of my thought process with this one.
No, I don't dislike it at all. I definitely think I get it. I get what you're saying. We're not huge on Sakai. That's really the factor here.
Right.
Bozer has shown more than Sakai for us. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and it's not even to say that Sakai's, like, bad.
No, it's just
like,
for one, I didn't feel like his stat, like that main event with Overeem, I didn't feel like that was super earned.
Right.
Because he had won 3 fights in a row, I believe.
But if you look at the names that he had won, you know, like an Ivanov and so on and so forth, and then you put him in with Overeem.
But it was also, I didn't feel like he had won against even like Arlovsky, who is a legend and a guy that I love. But if you're not able to beat Arlovsky,
well, yeah, and like in my opinion,
at least clearly beat
like a Sakai versus a Walt Harris or Sakai versus a Volkov is just a more fitting fight for Sakai than, oh, here's Overeem. Good luck, main event, ESPN. So, I don't know. I wanted to be a little different there to finish it out. Again, for those listening, probably are a little like, but hear me out. I mean, it has potential to be a good fight. They both stand and bang. Sakai's kind of more clinchy and all that, but I digress.
Well, I'll try to win them back here.
I just say
if they feel that way, I'll try to win them back here because I went pretty big with this one.
Did you? Oh, wait. Go ahead.
So, actually, I didn't go bigger.
Oh.
This is unranked.
Oh, yeah, I know what you did.
I hate it. Damn it, Dom. I was like, Dom's gonna be dumb here. No, you caught on. All right.
No. I mean, I'm not mad.
I went unranked.
I know exactly
The
what
people,
you did.
the people at home are like, "You went unranked." Yeah, my fight's about to be worse than Dom's. Unranked John Jones, heavyweight, going up against number 1 ranked Francis Ngannou.
Oh! I thought you were going to put him in with Stipe.
No.
Okay.
So Jones versus Stipe was the clear second choice there, or
That
Stipe,
was on my versus paper.
or Stipe and Ngannou too. However, I have been clear, even though Stipe might be my favorite fighter of all time, probably is, that I don't see that matchup with Jones going very well for him. Potential matchup. This fight interests me more. Now, I love Francis Ngannou. Most people do. He's the Mike Tyson of the UFC.
The nicest guy, but yet the scariest.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
The power in his hands is crazy.
It's crazy.
Is he very technical?
No.
Nah. But it doesn't matter.
Not when it's...
When he's throwing bitch slaps and one of them lands and just puts a 260-pound man to absolute freaking oblivion.
He can touch you with his pinky and you go to sleep.
Yeah. So you have Jones, who is the model of technique in everything, going up against a literal bull. And let's see what happens.
It's very intriguing.
I love it in the idea of it being Jones's first fight at heavyweight. Because look, he's never really been Jones has never been close to being stopped.
No, not stopped, that's for sure.
Sure, he's been hurt. Gus has hurt him. Ray has hurt him.
But he's never been in, trouble.
Nope.
We've had the fights where we thought he lost,
but
he's never been in
never
trouble.
felt in danger of being finished.
But who can put him in danger? None other than Francis Ngannou.
And for Jones, if he does how I would perceive it going, where it would be an absolute showcase, that does a lot for him and his legacy, and also for earning that title shot with...
I was going to say, I think you and me are kind of both on the same page where, yes, we understand if Jones gets the title shot straight away. That's fine.
I get it.
But we kind of want to see him tune up. We've never seen this man at heavyweight.
Yeah, for me, I had mentioned in the past that maybe he fights someone like Curtis Blades or Derek Lewis.
Well, like the winner of Blades Lewis. I remember us talking about that.
And I still wouldn't be opposed to that because I could see Jones doing that, where it's like, I'm making this risk of going up. He is undefeated, regardless of the loss on his record and how we feel about the certain wins on his record. In our eyes, he's undefeated. Well,
yes. Well, yeah, I guess you can't say that in our eyes.
Basically, the one loss that is on his record is bullshit.
Yeah, it was a disqualification because of the 12-6
against
elbow.
Ohio boy.
Ohio boy Matt Hamill.
Shouldn't have been disqualification.
No, and he was dominating the fight.
Yeah. Now, he's the one that's making a risk. He's going up a division.
Yep.
Where he's already he's very tall. The reach is massive, but he's skinny.
I'd have to imagine he'd be right around
230,
235, 240 topping out.
I think it's like 230. I think
he's bulking up.
He is bulking up,
but no heavier than 235, 240. No way.
So, this matchup with Ngannou, who will be about 250, 255,
yeah, minimum.
I just love because you're gonna have Ngannou, who's gonna have a hell of a time trying to stop the blizzard of John Jones.
There's something about wanting to see John Jones get threatened.
Yeah.
So you see how great he is when he responds to it.
Yeah. Because Ngannou's going to come out and try to land bombs.
He will sprint at him.
And all it takes is one.
Yeah.
Jones has not been hit by a guy like Ngannou.
No, not even close.
And he's going to be a much smaller guy if that fight were to happen 6 months from now. I don't care if he's bulking up.
Yeah.
He will be a much smaller, skinnier guy than Ngannou.
Yeah.
Can he take that kind of heat? Can he take that? I'm sure he can handle pressure, but it only takes one shot.
Yep.
This is the same thing I said about Adesanya Costa.
Yep.
Inevitably, we could end up with a similar affair.
Yeah.
But I want to see it. Just because it's so interesting.
I like it. I love that fight, actually.
I like it more than him and Stipe. I really do. either of those guys in Stipe. For Ngannou Stipe, we've already seen it, and I am still on the bandwagon that says it won't go different a second time. While Jones and Stipe, I have much more fear of it being one-sided.
See, and
for
I'm the
Jones.
opposite.
I know.
I get more nervous at Stipe fighting Ngannou because of that one-punch power.
Which,
is all.
and inevitably, like, it could go either
Yeah,
way. Like,
yeah.
it's not obvious that it would go one way.
But I completely... Yeah.
So Ngannou would be the underdog in this matchup with Jones, I believe.
Oh, anybody who fights John Jones is going to be an underdog. It doesn't matter what weight class.
But,
Stipe would probably be the underdog against John Jones.
yeah.
Sucks to say it.
I'm
but
just, that fight, Ngannou, Jones, put
Sign
that
me
into
up.
my veins.
Yeah. You finished big.
You're
The heavyweights, man. You gotta love it.
talking about fresh blood at heavyweight.
Yeah, that's the freshest you can get right there.
Yeah. But that's it for...
The fights we want to see.
Yeah.
This is another kind of special episode. I don't want to call it a series,
No.
but it's just one that we can revisit. We can do there's always going to be fights we want to
If
see.
we had done this 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I would have had Adesanya Costa on there. So.
Yeah, so this is something that we can always just go and do whenever we want,
Yeah.
but not a series. So it's fun. This was a ball.
Yeah,
I loved it.
we definitely, again, it's another episode where we said, oh, like, we don't have a ton of notes on this. Like, I wonder how we'll do. I feel like we talked for quite a while there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best thing about it. We sit down and
That's why I
we
love
just go.
That's why I love this platform is
Yeah.
just being able to just talk and not have to
share the passion with you.
not
all.
hold it within a time constraint or
Yep.
whatever. Just do our thing.
Yep,
But with that, for the rest of the week, Friday,
we got a fun one.
previewing hashtag UFC Fight Island 5. It's a huge fight at bantamweight, potentially title implications.
Question mark?
Yeah, it could be. It's definitely title implications for the future. You got Marlon Moraes, the Magic Man, number 1 ranked, I believe.
Yep.
Going up against Corey Sandhagen, who's still trying to reach that potential that is there for him. He's ranked number 5, I believe.
4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Big fight.
It's a big fight. Both guys, Moraes are in some ways it feels like he lost that fight with Aldo.
Yeah.
Whether you believe he did or not, the UFC have basically treated it like a loss
His
for him.
stock is being treated as if he's coming off a loss.
Aldo got a title shot off of that fight
Yeah.
and technically lost.
Yeah.
Moraes is fighting a guy who's coming off of a loss.
To Aljo. Yep.
So, in a way, the UFC is basically looking at it like you lost that fight.
Yeah. And I think he's going to come out with some
And for Sandhagen, he had a very...
underwhelming.
I don't want to say underwhelming because Aljo just was
Looked amazing.
amazing,
Yeah.
but I feel like it was a very heartbreaking defeat for
We
him.
didn't see that coming.
No.
The way it went down.
I mean, he didn't get to show anything.
No, not at all. Aljo dominated.
So he's looking to bounce back here. A guy with limitless potential.
Yes.
Young, but this is a tough matchup.
Yes, it is.
And we're going to break down that entire main card. Don't sleep on this card either, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that main event is huge, but also you got the return of one of the most exciting strikers the UFC has seen, Edson Barboza.
Yep.
There.
Big fight for him. We've got Ben Rothwell coming back with
Yep.
heavyweight. It's a good fight night card. Can't wait to break it down.
Yep. And we'll be doing that on Friday. Monday, we will be recapping those fights that happened on Saturday. So, Dom, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DSlee14. You can find our podcast on Instagram at BelowAverageJoes_podcast. You can find the podcast Spotify, Apple, Google. Go to our Anchor website and you'll find about 17 more places you can find the podcast. It's in the bio, the link tree, and I know Noah's going to hit it. So, over to you.
If you go to my bio on Twitter or Instagram at ntbaker_, you will be taken to our link tree, which contains links to every platform we are on, major platform, and social media. So our YouTube channel links on there, our Instagram, our Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Google, and there's even another link on there if you want to make a donation to the podcast, basically.
Support us for the future.
Yeah, so basically any money that is sent to us from that just goes back into the podcast.
Yep.
Just for things in the future, like if we want to do a video podcast,
Yep.
that kind of contribution would be huge for us.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take too many. It does not take too many to start a video podcast for us.
That's right.
It doesn't take much. We sound pretty crisp with the audio right now, and this mic was not that expensive.
Yeah.
So
we've talked about it before, and
Yeah.
it's in the future. It's just a matter of if,
Yeah.
or a matter of when, not if.
Yeah,
Right? So,
exactly. And so again, you can find all of that on my bio, on Twitter or Instagram, at ntbaker_. And with that, we're out. And we're going to see y'all on